Good morning, paleo keepers. Welcome back to Prehistoric Kingdom. Today I'm going to be making a Ceolophysis house. Now I'm going to have a very similar design to the way I am going to do it. And if you've watched how I made seen my penguin house that I made on Planet Zoo, I'm going for that kind of vibe. The way I actually got the idea for the design of the outside of the building was a local Home Bargains. I really like the way that it was like set up, like the warehouse style, and I feel like it makes for like a really slightly like it's not too in your face, but it's interesting enough that it doesn't look like just plain walling. So that's the kind of vibe I'm going to go for. As you can see right now, I'm placing the ceiling down. I'll pull that down so I know where exactly it's going to be. And then all I'll do is select it all and then lift it up and move it out of the way. And then I can get on with the indoor of my buildings. And then I can put the ceiling back down on the building to the way I want it. Especially I've added any like plant matter and things like this. I know if it's going to be poking through the ceiling or not, so I'm able to like choose where I'm going to have it. Like, see there, Tyrannosaurus managed to escape its enclosure and was just free roaming around, so I went and gone plop that back in the enclosure. Right now I'm just doing all like the like little bits of texture and whatnot. In this area right here I'm going to be placing like a cave, so this is where their little house is going to be, like the bedding. So try and make it fit in with the rest of the environment. I've gone for like the kind of like sort of like sandy kind of vibe with a few pebbles and a little bit of greenery knocking around. So it looks like it's either sort of like slightly barren to a point where it's like land that's recovering, or it kind of looks a bit kind of coastal in a way. But yeah, I really enjoyed making this enclosure. It was quite a nice, simple one I was going for. I didn't want to completely overload it. I didn't want to do too much to the enclosure because obviously the Ceolophysis is quite a small creature in the game. So if you do too much, you're going to end up losing it quite easily. Which is, in a sense, if the animal was living, it would probably be good because then it'd feel more hidden, more hiding places. But obviously, as the aspect for guests, it won't be so great because they won't see it. Like sometimes when you go to zoos, you'll go to some enclosures and they're so like decorated, tons of hiding places, really great for the animal. This is mainly like you see it a lot for like your smaller like mammals, like rodents and things like this, and you end up looking at the enclosure for half an hour and still not see the little critter in there because it's got so many decent places to hide. Like I said, it's great for the creature, not so good for the customer that wants to see them. So but putting that sort of aspect to it, I kind of make it so it's not too heavy in scenery because I actually want to be able to see my Ceolophysis rather than seeing them like dipping in and out of bushes and things like this. This bit right here, it's like a little housing area that's kind of off show. So it's got a double door system. You can put them in one side and still go through into the enclosure as well. It'll work out quite well as like a quarantine area for them. So if they do get ill, you can sort of like stick them in one of these cages and make sure that they're not too close to the rest of the group. Yes, I did use mesh on the other side, which kind of defeats the objective of the quarantine zone, but I kind of preferred the look of the mesh all the way around. So it kind of reminded me a bit like a cattery in a sense. So this kind of feel I was kind of going for it. It's like a nice little caged area to put them in, especially when you need to clean the enclosure. I'm going to be interested to see when they add the new like cleaning mechanics and things like this with keepers and how that's going to work with like slightly complex builds like this. Obviously, they're going to have to put like the fence gates in instead of those doors, and I'm just wondering how that'll work. Like, can we do like we do in Planet Zoo, where we null the barrier so it's literally just a gate into the enclosure, so we can make our own custom fences still, and it still have a roughly the same aspect it would if you were to use the normal fencing. It'd be kind of interesting to see how they get on with that, and when we eventually got our hands on that update when it gets added. So I'm pretty looking forward to all the extra features going to add, especially with like the using the compost heap and things like this, and making your own food to fill in like the food supplies. It's going to be really interesting. Like I'm really looking forward to like seeing the development of Prehistoric Kingdom and all these new features that'll get added, especially with some of the new dinosaurs we're going to get as well. It's going to be really cool to see. But yeah, back to the enclosure. I'm just sort of finishing it off now. I've done all the plants I want. I'm just sealing it off, making it look more building-y, as it were. So bringing it to the ceiling. Got the ceiling in the right place so the vegetation isn't poking through. I just need to bring those inner walls up to that ceiling and then add some lighting. And as well, because with it being a sort of climate controlled sort of enclosure vibe, add this air system to the top so it's pushing the right amount of temperature into the enclosure for them, and just adds like a little extra feature to the building. Rather than it just being a completely plain roof, it's got some like storytelling to it. It makes it look a little bit more realistic. The only thing, thinking about it, I didn't add any like ladders to get to the roof to maintain this air duct system, and but it doesn't matter anyway, so I can add always later on. As you can see, I also added the vents down into the enclosure. I'm just sort of like adding windows now to add a bit of natural light so it doesn't look too dark in there. And then I decided, like, I do like these little triangle things that poke up, like that sort of glass roofing. I can't remember which build I added that to, but yeah, it's pretty much complete now, and I probably will get round to adding ladders. I may toy around with it a bit more. I'm not too decided yet, so I do like the overall look for it. I might add more into the keeper area because that's pretty open, that room. Sorry, I'm just dying a bit here. But yeah, I really enjoyed watching them just do their thing around the enclosure. I do need to start the rocks in the middle because they climb up the rocks, glitch through the ceiling and end up on the roof, which is quite funny to see, but I don't want that to happen, so I will end up sorting that out in probably a later stage. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope this has given you a little inspiration, and as always, I'll see you next time.